Hello and welcome to the Monday Agenda. The Monday Agenda today is looking on how the government of Tanzania is working with stakeholders in the aspects of innovation towards job creation. And with me in the studio is Dr. Amos Nungu, who is the Director General of Costech, Commission for Science and Technology in Tanzania, and my good friend Joseph Manirakiza, who is the Program Manager working for UNDP, the project of Funuo. Please, very welcome to the program. Maybe to start, Dr. Nungu, with you, innovation as a platform for creation of job, especially for the youth in Tanzania. Costech has been spearheading a lot of activities, a lot of innovation. We've heard of hubs mushrooming in Tanzania, and I believe they all have the blessings of Costech. How are these coming up?
Thank you for inviting us to this Monday agenda. And as you mentioned, and referring to last week when Madam President was referring to Magiratech and Maximaripo as one of the products which are coming from the Costech Innovation Hub, and specifically DTBI incubator. We see the hubs and the innovation spaces and the accelerators in general as intermediaries to support the innovators. So going back, we have so many young talents, or talents in general in the country, but some of these they have to be guided because innovation starts with the creativity and creativity in general. So everybody is creative. But now, how can you transform that creativity now into the innovation and the later commercialization? That's where now these intermediaries, the hubs, the acceleration programs, the incubators and the like, they are brought into the aspect to assist them. So giving you an example, as I said, we have Magiratech as now a vivid example, but we have so many youngsters who are doing the same. And all of these youngsters, if also I go back to while the Madam President was in USA during the, inauguration of the Royal Tour, also there was Benjamin Fernandez with the NARA product, which was now, started officially in USA. You can see this trend that, these innovators, all of them, they come up with a product or a service, starting from the creativity point of view. But now, how that creativity can be of use to the society. That's now when the innovation, the entrepreneurship, and the support to that one came into place. Okay. And if I may add that one, as you said, Costech, we started with the one innovation hub or space, but later seeing the benefit, how the youngsters are supported and being strong through that support. That's why even our hub was transformed into being a hub of hubs or a mother hub. Now, bringing together private sector as well as government, as well as the universities to have these various hubs. Our interest or our intent is the whole country should have those such facilities or hubs so that the innovator, wherever they are, they should be assisted, not only when they are in Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
That's the intention of the government.
Right. Joe, UNDP has been, a government partner for God knows how long, for the longest time. And we'll deep dive later on onto innovation, but I really want to first grasp your understanding. Why is it very important that the government partners with development partners like yourself in promoting or in ensuring sustainability of innovation in job creation, especially for the young people?
Yeah, thanks, Austin. Well, probably can come back to later talk about innovation in general, but the question that you just asked about a UNDP model of operandus,
yes.
What basically all development agencies do, they do complement the agenda of the government. So basically that's actually what UNDP does. It's supporting the government towards achievement of the national development goals and achievement of SDGs in general. So that's how UNDP works. That's how UNDP develops all these implementation strategies, because they have to be in line with the government agenda and the government development framework. So that basically the key guiding principle behind the UNDP's operations.
I must, however, commend, I came across recently when I went for a meeting at TIC and learned that, UNDP is supporting businesses that, they send the proposals to TIC for the funding of partnerships, JVs, and then those that do not make it through, they are channeled back to UNDP so that they help them, become more bankable, etc. But yeah, that is part of what you do, and it's really commendable. Now we're looking today on innovation as a platform, and for a couple of years, UNDP and prior to that, what was known as HDF then, now Funuo, has come into the picture during the Innovation Week, which has commenced today. How do we then relate job creation for the youth and innovation?
Yeah, let me start this way.
Yes.
If you look at the statistics, whether it's demographics, whether the kind of changing trends in terms of employment opportunities, the kind of jobs that are coming up, the changing rate of technologies and everything, they all go back to the same thing. With this booming young population, with almost 1 million youth entering the labor market every year, and with the capacity of the formal sector to be able to employ those people, where does the majority go? Because you can actually imagine how what the percentage of that 1 million people that can be employed with government. I haven't checked the statistics, but I'm not sure whether it could be anywhere far beyond 10%. And then you look at the private sector, how many can they be employed? So what we are looking at is what could be the other ways of making sure that the majority of these youth can actually be gainfully productive. And in this case, we are talking about jobs, not necessarily employment. So which means if you can make it easy, if there could be ways of making sure that most of these youth, whether they're graduate from university or secondary school or technical colleges, or even those who are not lucky to go on their way, their talent, their innovation, their creativity can be harnessed towards creating their own employment, but also those that can be employed come in with skills which are in line with the current demand, the skills that are required for the 21st century. So that's where innovation comes in now. That in every sphere, whether it's education, whether it's industry, whether it's in government, because now we're talking about public sector innovation, what can be done, how can we think and act differently from what we've been doing? Because there's one trait I always say, like, you know what, it's not like I'm just quoting someone I can't remember, that you cannot solve 21st century challenges with 20th or 19th century thinking. It's not possible.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's why innovation comes in everything that we're actually doing.
Doctor, maybe to pick from where Joseph has just ended, skills gap, skills mismatch. Not looking onto the education system, not looking onto finger pointing. I really like to look onto the problem from outside, inside. Looking onto the setup, the build-up, where do we have a mismatch of skills? Does it come from our education system? And if it does come from our education system, what are some of the measures that the government is trying to put in place? Not to look onto Costech to come and correct the situation which has already been, brought up. But maybe are there any plans so that, we start looking onto innovation from early ages, maybe from primary schools, secondary schools. Maybe you want to cite some few examples as well.
Yeah, the skills mismatch, as was mentioned by Joseph. First of all, our education system, I think from the curriculum point of view, it is still okay, or I say it is good. Because if we cite examples, we have cases where the same graduates from the same schools, they are doing wonders. So if I go back to Magira, which our Madam President cited, I mean, he came from IFM, and he was majoring finance, not even IT. So the skills are there. I think the challenge, and which now the government is addressing, or has started to address, and even last night, I mean, our minister, Professor Mkenda, was online trying to, I mean, to creating awareness for the, I mean, for everybody to come in and share their thoughts on how to do it better. I think the issue is, I mean, maybe the world is moving too fast.
Okay.
For example, today we are in the 4th industrial revolution. You find, for example, some breweries here already they're using blockchain. So they're already in the 4th industrial revolution. So the point is, I mean, the government as a system, sometimes it doesn't kind of act as fast as the world is changing. Yeah, so that's why now the government is engaging, or what can we do? But most importantly, I think it is how the government and private sector work together. Because the government is providing education, which is the basic. Everybody should have it. And now the private sector, the employers are the one who now should dictate, I mean, for us, because the point is, the skills needed at the bank is different than the skills needed at the breweries and whatever.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think there should be, I mean, a harmony between the two. The skills provider or the knowledge provider and the employers. So when they are going for their industrial training, it should be really hands-on, and the industry also should play part. Instead of, I mean, it is one side. The universities are sending students or graduates for the industrial training, but the industry is kind of, I mean, are giving you a chair and a desk, and that is it. So the program should be, I mean, there should be a feedback mechanism that when they come our side, then we should also impart our demand or what we desire from them. Because, I mean, I've been a trainer before coming to Costech. Yeah, the students, they go to the industry, and these are IT students, and all they do is, I mean, making sure the printer is working, changing the cables. So there is the students are disengaged from the industry, whatever they got for the placement. So I think that is where, from my point of view, we should now engage more, so that during the 3 or 4 years when they're at the university level, there is a feedback. And every time, that feedback is, I mean, getting back to the university that, I mean, yes, this dose was good, but it could add more, or else also the world is changing. So, and the changes in the world, they affect more the employer. As I said, for example, brewers are now doing blockchain. They should work with the university that, I mean, yes, we are moving based on the reality. Our partners, our branches, our main head office in Europe or US, whatever, they are in this technology now. So we need graduates who understand this one. So I think that feedback is the one
which is essential.
Have to be strengthened.
Correct. Joe, back to you. You quoted the very powerful quotation that, you know, the 21st century challenges. Where do you see us taking the innovation sphere of Tanzania towards addressing these challenges? Are we looking on to what the market requires? You know, the example that Dr. Nungu has referred to, the speech by Our Excellency, the President, citing those two great innovators. But are we looking on to what our country, Tanzania, requires now, so that we innovate to address these problems with the 21st century thinking?
That's a good question, and a deep one, actually, because, I mean, there are various angles to how we see and use innovation. You can be more reactionary by innovating just to fight certain challenges actually facing you now. I think we saw most of that during the COVID-19 crisis, when it was like the height that we saw quite a number of, I would call them, well, not ad hoc, but I mean more innovation came up like how can we now move to online learning? How can we come up with something like even the herbal solutions that were used to fight COVID, like all that. We saw some action from universities, from our R&D institutions. I mean, if you can say examples, everyone was actually looking at that. To me, it made me think, like, okay, where were we before all this? Like, why were we not seeing this kind of action even before the COVID-19? Because that's exactly what we should be doing. That's where we talk about anticipatory innovation. You don't I mean, yes, we have to innovate, keep on innovating to solve today's challenges, but you also have to project, anticipate, like, okay, the world is moving. Probably tomorrow there would be this, and then you have to think, okay, how can I actually anticipate what's going to happen tomorrow? You've just given a very sensitive example right now with the soaring prices of fuel. Right now, everyone is, complaining, and rightly so. But to me, I would say we should have seen this coming. Right?
We should have seen this coming.
Yes,
we should have seen this coming.
We don't live in an island. We see how the world is moving. And it's none of our fault. I mean, to be honest, it's not none of Tanzania's fault, because that's affecting everywhere. So that now, for every challenge that comes up, it's an opportunity for innovators who can actually think ahead. What can we do? I mean, recently I saw now a revived conversation about how can we use the natural gas to run our car. There was innovation there's innovation at DIT.
Yes.
It's still there. Now it's coming up because now we all think about the cost of 1 liter of fuel. Maybe I should think about alternatives. So to me, that's the kind of thing that should actually have been in there before. I know, I don't know how, I haven't followed up on how fight has gone, but that now makes sense right now, because now we put in a situation like, okay, we are faced with a crisis. How can we react to it? But to me, we should actually go beyond that. And that's not just about innovator. It's not about policymaker. It's not about the academic. So everyone, the whole ecosystem need to be thinking that way. That, okay, the world is moving. Challenges are not going to end today. Today we have the fuel crisis, we have the food crisis, we have everything is going up. We can react and solve those through innovations, but tomorrow there's going to be another. So how do we invest in actually anticipating tomorrow's challenges, not only but also opportunities, and innovate today to take advantage of that, and also provide solutions to whatever is going to happen.
Correct.
Yes.
Doctor, in anticipation, and I really like this discussion because, it's more of, the brains coming together in anticipation of what ought to happen or what could happen tomorrow. The government has constantly been the focal point in ensuring that the enabling environment is conducive for innovators, is conducive for investors, the private sector. As Joy said, and as you rightly said, that you put that environment. Joy cited one very key example, for instance, DIT and the innovation that they're pushing towards the application of gas in the vehicles. I'm not sure if we have any other center in Tanzania besides DIT. And I can't recall the number of how many cars are being cleared at the ports every day, but it's such a huge number. In terms of creating an enabling environment, Doctor, how can we bank on the government of Tanzania through innovations like such, so that we are able then to say we do not only have one DIT in Dar es Salaam, but there's several other centers, by ensuring that the environment is really conducive, by ensuring that those who want to come in and establish such businesses are enabled either through facilities or through tax holidays and stuff, to be able to start centers like that so that we can, in anticipation, not only the use of gas because petrol has gone up, but this is alternative energy. This is protection of the already depleted ozone layer, etc. In relation to creating an enabling environment role that the government plays, Doctor, how are you inviting the private sector to come in?
On one side, the government is working on the demand and the supply, because, as you said, like we put, DIT has the facility for more than 3 years now. Those who have benefited or they went to act on it, it was because of the demand and supply. So we expect now, because now the price for fuel is, skyrocketing, the demand will go higher. In that respect, the need to have more stations, it will come automatically. On one side, the government is putting down a conducive environment. So there's the DIT, there is Arusha Tech, they can do the work. But let me cite from the other angle, the electric cars. Mm-hmm. We know in Arusha already, there are private sector who are doing the conversion of electric cars. So it is not the government which is doing. In addition to Arusha Tech, they are venturing on that one, but there is already a private sector doing it. Mm-hmm. Meaning that, sometimes even when the government doesn't have the policies ready, but we don't prevent or restrict. So we ran, as it was for the M-Pesa thing. Mm-hmm. It was, let us learn also. Start doing it and learn what we are doing. So the government is always, if the environment is not ready, then we work together with the stakeholders to make sure it is happening. Mm-hmm. And for the electric car, as I said, the Arusha is happening now. Mm-hmm. And at Costech, I think we have a proposal now to look into the infrastructure for the electric car system all over the country. So that today there is Masudi Kipanya. As I said, Arusha, there are people already doing it. But Masudi was looking into Dar es Salaam that my car can go to this certain kilometer, which means at least I have calculated I can charge at my home and come back in the evening. The charge is okay. But now what if I want to travel from here to Dodoma? And I'm in Gairo, what will I do? So we have now already a paper looking at that one. Okay. That, as you said, instead of reaction, we should be ready. And the government here, as I said, we work together with the partners, stakeholders, to see what the government is not yet doing now. If somebody can do it, then we kind of take it, learn it, and make it official. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because always the world is moving very fast, and the government always has to be there for the people.
Of course.
Yeah, that's why I said it is a demand and a supply. So if the demand is not there, but the government sees it is coming, it will try to put there the environment. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the demand is there now and the government is not ready. So then we can work together with the stakeholders and see, how can we fast track it? Or how can we learn instead of restrict? Sometimes how can we advise? Because it is a collaborative work. Okay. But one thing is also the government has to protect the people. Mm-hmm. So while we are doing the innovation, we have also to protect the people. And usually I make an example to the helicopter guy.
Yes.
We supported, but we took the precautionary route that the helicopter, it was done from the engineering point of view. Very exciting, but how are we sure about the kind of the safety? What if when it is up and it can knock the TANESCO nguzo, then everybody, security is in jeopardy. So that's why we don't restrict. At the same time, we try to see what is the best way to make it happen. Yeah. By the way, that guy, we supported him in another way, and now he's doing wonders.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I would be delighted to have this gentleman at Capital TV one of these days, not on the Monday agenda, but on the innovation program, so that we can really see. I know I've been bugging you a lot about this gentleman, Daktari. Let's now get into the week that has commenced today, the Innovation Week. But Joe, before we speak about the Innovation Week, I want us first and foremost to understand, and my viewers will be very keen to understand. In the introduction, when I said I have Joseph Manurakiza, who is the program manager at Undp, looking onto the Funuo program. I'm sure those who have had a glimpse of working with you or seeing you could be wondering, Innovation Week, HDIF, and now Funuo. So before we look onto the Innovation Week 2022 in Tanzania, probably you want to tell us a little bit, just bring us up to speed to what Funuo is.
Thanks. Well, Funuo, it's a new innovation program, but it's not new in a sense that it's starting from the void. There was Human Development Innovation Fund, HDIF, that was implemented for the past 8 years, actually since 2014, and closed doors in 2021. Back in 2019, when we knew the program is going to close because it's kind of time-bound, there was a lot of discussion within the innovation ecosystem, because HDF was like a broader kind of innovation program. It was being implemented in partnership with Costech. It had supported a lot of programs, initiatives, initiated Innovation Week, the way you see it today. And everyone's like, okay, this was like more like a go-to kind of program when it comes to innovation ecosystem in Tanzania. What's going to happen when it ends? So the discussion started there. We started engaging and said, okay, we actually need continuity. And that's another topic of discussion altogether about the nature of development projects and the sustainability. Fast forward, there were a number of stakeholders who came up as, you know what, we can actually start a new program which can be designed to kind of take over some of the initiatives that were started with HDIF, and then be structured in a way that's going to be sustainable in the future. So Funuo was born. UNDP offered to incubate the program, but invited other partners to contribute to it. So right now it's being co-funded by European Union, UK Aid, and UNDP itself, but it's still open to other partners actually to join. Because the way it's supposed to be done, it's going to be a multi kind of partner program, which is going to transform into a Funuo Innovation Facility, which is going an ongoing entity. So what we do basically 3 things, which are kind of build on what we learned during the implementation of HDIF and in partnership with the government. One is, the issue of access to financing for startups and innovative SMEs is still a problem. It depends on which angle you look at it, but yes, we see a lot of money pouring into Africa, but in Tanzania, not that much. So the question is why? What can we do? How can we de-risk some of these startups, the promising startups, so we can be able to attract external financing? So innovation financing is one of our key areas because of that. That's what we learned. But secondly, Dr. Nungu touched on the innovation hubs. If you look at the numbers, we are not doing that badly. There are quite many coming up, and Costech has contributed towards the establishment of quite a number of them within the public sector, public entities, like in community development colleges. Costech has supported the establishment of those. But what we are looking at, okay, the innovation hubs and the innovation spaces, accelerators, incubators, they are supposed to contribute to the increased number of startups. So as much as we are seeing a number of innovation hubs increasing, we are not seeing an equivalent number of startups or scalable startups coming up. So it's like something is wrong. So innovation service delivery is also something that we're going to be looking at, how we can actually work with all the partners to see how we can strengthen the support system for the startups and innovative SMEs. But more importantly now is what we are actually touching on, is an enabling environment. It doesn't matter how much you do, all these innovation facility, innovation financing, if the environment is not conducive enough, everything is going, it's not going to, it's going to collapse. So that's why we are working with the government, Costech, different agencies, capital market security authority, like everything, to look at the policy issues, what needs to be done. I think you've heard about Tanzania Startup Association now advocating for good environment for startups. Now there's a talk that's going on about pushing startup policy. There was a report that was recently launched by ESRIF that was commissioned by TSA in partnership with the Netherlands, the Dutch government, embassy. So all that is contributing to the conversation about how can we make the environment more supportive and enabling for the startups. And to be honest, you have to give credit to where credit is due. The government right now is actually doing quite a lot to support. I think you've heard about, for the tech startups, TCRIA now opening up, like giving access to free USSD for those who are innovation in the tech sector, that they can actually try it out without paying before they become revenue generating. Initially, they had to pay. So that actually is something which is very welcome within the startup community. You've heard about the Minister of Information and Communication, IT, now like waiving the fees for content creators to actually upload on YouTube and digital platform. That's something which is very welcome for the creators of content, and that's where most of the innovative creators are operating in. You can imagine what that does to an upcoming artist. So there's quite a lot which is going, there's a lot of discussion which is happening in that area, so we want to support that kind of effort to make sure that at least we can have another cycle coming up and creating jobs for the youth that we're talking about.
You are watching the Monday Agenda, and the Monday Agenda with me today is Dr. Amos Nungu, who is the Director General for Costech, Commission for Science and Technology here in Tanzania, and Mr. Joseph Manirakiza, who is the Program Manager, UNDP, looking onto the Funuo program, and we are looking onto how innovation is a platform for creation of jobs, especially for the young people. And as you all may be your eyes glued on the media today, we have seen the commencement of the Innovation Week here in Tanzania, and the week is spearheaded by the government in support of the stakeholders, and with me is UNDP, who is the key supporter of the government in the aspects of innovation and the Innovation Week. So Joe, back to you again. What are some of the activities? Before I go on to Doctor and ask him what you had mentioned initially on innovation financing, I really want to get deeper onto it. But what are some of the activities that we are going to see from today onwards?
Yeah, one, a point of correction. The main innovation week actually from the 16th of May to 20th. That's going to be in Dodoma.
Okay.
So what is happening from now, even in the days before, all these are events building up to the Innovation Week.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah,
all right.
so those are like, towards innovation week kind of thing. So,
okay.
Because that's, we have to kind of create this kind of sustained conversation around innovation.
Okay.
And if you remember last year when the Prime Minister was closing the Innovation Week 2021, the direction that was given to the Minister of Education and Technology was likely to take now Innovation Week activities, all these competitions, all the way to the district level.
Yes.
So what the ministry has done, like, okay, we can go gradually. So from the 9 regions that we covered last year, we can go up to 16.
Okay.
So right now it's actually going to 16. So what has been happening, there are quite a number of activities in 14 other areas that are all building up to the main innovation, which is going to be now in Dodoma. So activities, exhibitions is one of the constant key that is always there. There are conferences, trainings, workshops, conversations, pitching competitions, all that. And so there are going to be quite a number of events in Dar es Salaam, Arusha, and elsewhere, also in Dodoma. Maybe just to cite a few, we've been hearing about Makisatu, the National Competition for Science, Technology, and Innovation, which is a flagship initiative of the ministry. That has been running since 2019, so that's still running this year, and the award ceremony is actually on 20th with the closing of Innovation Week Tanzania 2022. But all those that have been selected from all the regions or the places are going to be exhibiting throughout the week from the 16th.
All right.
In Dar es Salaam, we're also going to be having quite a number of partners exhibiting as JNICC, but also engaging in conversations around technology, around innovation unplugged, for instance, around the need for national innovation framework and all that. So they are actually organized by various partners, but also our sponsors and stuff like that. So that happening across the country. And there are some of the interesting events, to be honest. Like this year, we want to also drive the conversation towards the need of sustaining or strengthening innovation within the public sector, within the government, because we know there's quite a lot being happening within the government agencies. So we would like them to come out, talk about that, but also they can also inspire others. Okay. So there are going to be more information about who is going to be talking about what. Okay. And I talked about the exhibitions by Maksatu winners or participants, but also there are quite a number of sponsors. Maybe we can talk about who's actually supporting Innovation Week going forward. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah.
You spoke initially on one of the reasons this is ongoing is on the aspects of innovation financing. And Dr. Nungu, allow me to ask you at this juncture, because when we speak about, Joe had mentioned this earlier as well, enabling environment. Yeah. So we already have players. We already have the enabling environment, but the means, now the financing. I do not know what comes first. Is it the financing or the idea? But we'll get to that. Doctor, Joe said it's still one of the major challenges. Why is it that, we have, for instance, in Tanzania, TADB to support the growth of the agriculture sector in Tanzania? Why don't we sort of like, probably it could be on the pipeline, but can you tell us, why is it difficult to finance innovation here in Tanzania, in your perspective, Doctor?
It is not why it is difficult. No. We are growing, let me put it that way. I mean, as I said, our first innovation hub was in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, so about
10 years ago. We're celebrating 10th birthday this year.
Yes. So before that, we are talking about science and technology. So innovation was embedded into the technology. So slowly now, innovation is coming out. And I think when the HDF came up in 2014, and also we had Costech was working with the government of Sweden, was getting support. They supported the research, because initially they were supporting research. Even at Costech, we have the National Fund for Advancement of Science and Technology, NFAST.
Okay.
So the innovation was kind of embedded.
Okay.
So when we were working with the HDF and the Swedish government, they said the world is changing. Now we want also to fund explicit innovation.
Correct.
Yeah, so even in our fund, we opened a window for innovation. Meaning that, before that, innovation itself was kind of a side event. It was not the main one.
Yes.
Yeah, so when now it comes to the mainstream, yes, we have innovators, we have good innovations, but that's why we started with we have hubs now to assist the innovators, to package the ideas, to package their products and services so that they can be, even the communication itself. So the challenge we are having here is we have the innovations and we have the people who want to fund the innovations, but they are not meeting. So the government, apart from putting down the conducive environment, sometimes also we provide seed funds. So these innovations to take shape. For example, Boon Hub and DTBI, they used it to change the idea into, we said, minimal viable product. So now you have a prototype which you can go and showcase or whatever. These innovators with their products, some of them, they are not good at selling. But since innovation was kind of an alien concept, you see the innovators, most of them, they are engineers or I would say some of them, if it's a product, the engineers, because there's innovation for a service, well, is a better way of doing things. But the engineers, they think from the engineering point of view, but also from the cultural point of view, it is my thing. It is my innovation, it is my product. So when there is an investor coming in, because the government, let me come back, the government put money into Costech through the NFAS, the fund. We had the money from HDIF to the fund, and the money from SIDA to the fund to support innovation. So we give seed funds to improve the prototype. Then, apart from that, the government just kind of put the condition environment for the innovators now to excel, to go to the market. Then our local private sector, also we're working with them to support the innovation. But from outside the country, there are people who, this is their business, investing into startups because they get shares and then when the startup sell out, they get the dividend. One side, it is the culture that it is my product. I don't want to sell the shares. So the government should invest more money so that I can go to the market myself. So that is one side. The second side is there are some investors who want to put in money into the startups, but they have a threshold. I've seen people coming to Costech that wanted to invest into startups in Tanzania, but starting from 100,000 USD.
Okay.
The startups which are available, they only need 20,000. So there's a gap. That's why working with Funuo, we're saying, how can we now assist these startups here to be to a level where someone from outside they want to invest in.
Okay.
Yeah, they are investor ready. So
right.
that's where, so the point is, money is not the big problem. Yeah, because as I said, from internal, the government is putting money to Costech, but also the partners are working with Costech. That's why I said initially we had the HDIF and Swedish. Even today we have Swedish and the Funuo. We are working to support. Swedish are supporting both the research and the innovation. Funuo, we said purely we are supporting the innovation. But now it is a cultural side, but also, yeah, bringing, these young stars now to come, because, Magira is, we have few Magiras, the exception, who they can go to the market. As I said, last month there was Benjamin Fernandez, who raised 10 million USD. That means money is there as long as you have a very good idea or product. But at the same time, if you are prepared, because someone to give you money to invest in you, you have to prove that yes, I have a product which it can solve them.
Absolutely.
Yes, so
Absolutely.
That's where we are now, and that's where kind of apart from putting up with the condition environment, the government is working with the partners such as Funuo to assist these young stars. And of course, Joseph mentioned, TCRA. TCRA is working with Costech. And we said, because Costech is, coordinating research and innovation. So TCRA said, we wanted to provide that free resources to research and innovation. So Costech should be in the middle. You have to approve someone to come to TCRA. And even today we have already approved some who are already having the services. But in addition, we said, not to make the process cumbersome or bureaucratic, then we're working with the TSA, the Tanzania Startup Association, because the startups who want the resources, they are members of TSA. So the innovator, some of them, they should get the approval from TSA in order to fast-track the process. And the researchers, we can take care of that one. Yeah, so we are working with the ecosystem, and by that way, yeah, it is smooth and quicker.
All right. Yes. Joe, I am giving you the honor of closing up the Monday agenda for just 1 minute. Please, talk to my viewers.
All right. Well, I'm going to close by focusing on Innovation Week Tanzania 2022 again. All this that we are discussing, we really need to have a platform to keep on conversing about how we can improve our enabling environment for innovation and startups in Tanzania. It's very important, it's very crucial. We need to do whatever we can to alleviate whatever looming crisis would come if the masses of youth keep on staying on the street without doing something productive. So that's very important. And this touch on all the spheres, whether it's financing, whether it's academia, whether it's enabling environment, whether it's the kind of regulations, policies we have that kind of stop these startups to start and go. We keep on giving examples of Nala and Magila Tech. I would love to see Tanzania with thousands of Nalas and thousands of Magila Tech. How can we make it easy for the likes of Nala to be able to raise money from Tanzania, but not being forced to register outside to raise money from where they are? That's very important, because if these startups, we can have a number of them raising money from Tanzania and be able to spend in Tanzania, to invest in Tanzania, they are going to create jobs for the young Tanzanians. We are seeing this happen in the likes of Nigeria. You've heard of Flutterwave, being the first unicorn on the continent. You are seeing thousands of hundreds of $1,000, flowing into Kenya, Egypt, Tunisia, South Africa. Why not Tanzania? So we have to act together, and we should use platforms like Innovation Week to have all these conversations going. To conclude, Innovation Week Tanzania 2022, the main theme is about innovation for sustainable development. And within that, there are sub-themes which touch on innovation for job creation. There is a thing to do with green and blue innovations. What can we do around that? Because that's our topic right now, looking at the climate change, now the soaring prices of fuel. That's something to discuss. We are looking, there's also conversation about how can we make our education system future-proof, so you can actually get graduates who can be able to employ themselves, create jobs for this, but also when they are employed, to actually contribute productively. So it's going to be quite rich, and there are discussion around also the institutional framework, like what we're talking about. And so there are going to be more exciting events and conversations around how the public sector can actually now support all these movements. So the conversation is still ongoing, it has to continue. The same way we have World Malaria Day, just to focus on malaria. It's not just 1 week of focusing on innovation. It's a continuing agenda, but at least we need to kind of now pause and actually think about how we can leverage on innovation technology to make Tanzania a better place for all of us. Thank you.
And this is the build-up happening at the JNICC, Julius Nyerere International Convention Center. So please come with dialogue so that we bring the 21st thinking into addressing the challenges that 21st is facing as we anticipate for the 22nd century and prepare for them. With as few remarks, I would really wish to thank you once again, Dr. Nungu and Joe. I hope soon you'll be Dr. Joe for coming onto the Monday agenda and highlighting how innovation is literally a platform for job creation. I'm your host, Austin Makani. Until next time, stay tuned. Let's meet at the JNICC and next week in Dodoma, whereby we are really going to celebrate innovation and how it embraces development agenda. Thank you for watching once again the Monday agenda. Until next time.